Today I wanted to talk about my Scuff Team of the Year. Wanted to go through the website and actually construct it, but a few other interesting things to discuss as well. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Like if you do, subscribe if you're new as always. Let's hop into it then. So very interestingly, yesterday Halo Infinite was confirmed to be delayed until 2021. This has honestly pretty significant implications, right? Because it begs the question to the start, like, you know, is Call of Duty going to be delayed? Is that even a possibility? I highly doubt Activision are going to want to do that. Of course, Halo haven't released a game since like 2015, so it doesn't really matter too much in theory if they delay it a few months, whereas for Activision, delaying Call of Duty a few months would, well, be an absolute disaster, to be honest. I highly doubt that's going to happen, even if the game isn't quite complete, and fair play to Halo for actually doing this if they don't think the game is in a game-ready state. However, this has some implications, because we've been talking about Shotzzy, we've been talking about Frosty, talking about the potential of going back to Halo Infinite at some point. If it's delayed until 2021, that basically takes that option off the table, right? Because they have to get locked into their contracts for the 2020 season, as we just talked about earlier today, September 14th and co. from then on. And if Halo was being released just after that, they could legitimately make the decision to say, hey, I'm going to step away from Call of Duty this year and play in Halo Infinite and see where that goes. The game being delayed till 2021 means that the Call of Duty season is going to have begun by then for the next game if nothing gets delayed, which hopefully it doesn't. And, well, if that's the case, Shotzzy and Frosty are not going to be able to play Halo next year. So that definitely opens the playing field somewhat, you know, if that's a possibility. I think I've got a video planned in a couple of days' time here talking about what happens if we do go to 4v4. And I say in that the possibility of Frosty going to Halo doesn't look like that's a possibility anymore, but, you know, who knows, maybe things can change. But yeah, I thought I'd bring this to your guys' attention if you're not yet aware, and if you were looking forward to it, then, well, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, I suppose. This then is the Scuff Team of the Year. Which 5 players do you have on the ultimate squad for the season? So I clicked on the link, and this is where we get to. Let's just make sure this is all fitting on screen rather nicely. I thought I'd go to exactly what I think for the season and, well, how I would define my team from a number of different aspects, right? Because you can just choose what I think are the best 5 players, but I kind of want to choose a team which I think would actually make a good team in terms of how well players have performed. Not every player in the league is on here. I'm pretty sure the only players on here are players that, well, have placed in a Scuff Team of the Week for the entire season, and then all of those players are here. So you guys can vote and, well, make your own in the description box below. I'll leave the link, and let's go through exactly how I would define this. So definitely, like, one of my starting points here when looking at this, they actually randomized this from when I looked at this before, is, well, if I was to make an absolute god squad and I wasn't to think about, well, the team of the year and how good players have been throughout the year, I would choose the following team. I would start with Simp and I would start with aBeZy. Those are my, like, go-to SMG duo. If I had to build a team and I had free reign of anyone to pick in the entire world and I could just pick 5 players, this would be my starting point. I think having a very, very strong SMG duo is a great start. These guys have been fantastic together the entire season. This isn't actually my Scuff Team of the Year, but, well, I would choose these if I had to make a roster for next season. So I'd go Simp and aBeZy as my SMG duo. Then I would probably get Octane as my main AR. I think that's a good, you know, foundation point to the team. Then genuinely, I would probably pick up Slasher if we didn't have to worry about the season being online. But, yeah, if Slasher's happy running like a second AR, it also depends how the game format works. Because if we know that next year's game is going to play like Black Ops 4, then I'd be pretty damn happy getting Octane and Slasher back on the team together. But maybe if it's plays like Modern Warfare, they might clash in terms of the roles, and Slasher wants to be the main AR, so that might be difficult. But I do rate Slasher. I think he's done it all before. And, yeah, if I had to build a god squad, I would have Slasher on the team alongside Octane. And then if I had to choose a 5th, I probably, out of these, would go for Shotzzy, just as that young up-and-coming absolute superstar that is probably going to keep getting better and better, and definitely grinds the game. So this would be, I think, my 5-man team. If I just had free reign of any organization, I could just pick and choose players off different teams and build a 5-man god squad. I think this is where I would start. However, for this season, we're going to take a slightly different approach. I am still going to start with Simp, though. I think he's been absolutely superb, especially in that SMG role. And again, I'm going to take a similar approach to what I just did, talking about my absolute god squad, talking about, you know, which players I think have been the best this year. Going to start with 2 SMGs, go to the main AR, and then fill in the rest of the blanks on the squad. Definitely Simp's my number one. I said a couple of weeks ago, I think he's been the best player this entire season in terms of, well, MVP of the entire league. So I think I'm going to go with Simp in the number one spot. Then we have to choose another SMG. This is quite difficult to do, but I think I'm going to give it to Shotzzy. aBeZy definitely deserves a shout. Like guys like Envoy also deserve a shout, but, you know, I would say that I think aBeZy has been fantastic the latter half of the season. The entire season long, maybe I'll just give it to Shotzzy. I mean, he did win a LAN event early on the season at Los Angeles. Then since he's become online, at times he was probably the best player in the game. So definitely think Shotzzy Shotzi and Simp are going to be my SMG duo if I was building a scuff team of the year in this sense. Then we've got to go to ARs, and AR actually could be quite difficult to define. I think Octane is very much up there for me. I think it's probably between Octane and Skies, to be honest, for which I want to pick as my AR. And, you know, Skies has won 3 events, but Octane is just that guy, man, and he's been so good this year once again. Yes, he's been on a team which hasn't been performing, which maybe it makes it quite difficult to choose Octane because, well, his statistics haven't really transferred into results, right? Which maybe begs the question as to, like, whether he's actually been performing that well or whether it's just, you know, he's basing his team or whatever. But, you know, honestly, still, I want to give it to Octane. Like, I just think if I had to choose one main AR that's just going to be the best consistently over many seasons, Octane's probably that guy right now. Like, we can talk about formal, but maybe he hasn't been quite so good this season. Skies definitely deserves a big mention, but yeah, maybe he's just slightly lower on my power rankings than Octane in terms of how good ARs are. And I think like latter half of the season, the last few events, Skies maybe have been slightly overshadowed in his important role on the team. So yeah, I might just give it to Octane, but it's quite tough to say. I think it's probably between these two guys for the main AR the entire season long. I kind of went, you know, Wuskin also deserves a mention down here, but I think I'm just going to go for Octane overall. Then we have to choose like a couple of kind of flex players. And my pick here is actually going to be Pharaoh. This may come as somewhat of a surprise. Definitely a lot of these players deserve a mention. On my 5th pick, I'm actually not sure what I'm going to go with yet, but I did think about Pharaoh in advance because I think on this team, if I had to choose an MVP for the Florida Mutineers, it would be him. He's won 3 events so far this season, as has Skies, of course, on this squad, but since he joined, he completely turned this team around. Awakening has definitely done a similar thing, but then again, Awakening's only played a few events and hasn't played on land too much, but Pharaoh, definitely a player that's done it in the past. This season, I think he's been spectacular. I think he really has turned this Florida Mutineers team around, done it with every role, absolutely taken over maps when it's required, and honestly, I think he's been somewhat underrated this season, and well, doesn't necessarily get the respect he deserves on this squad. Awakening's lapped it up lately, Skies has definitely lapped it up in terms of KD standpoint, but Pharaoh has been absolutely marvellous, I think, for the Mutineers, so I'm going to pick him as my 4th pick. Then I have to choose a 5th player, and you know, Pharaoh can use an SMG, so I've kind of got 3 SMGs already, so I want to choose maybe a flex player, someone who can use an AR as well. Awakening definitely comes to mind. I mean, Matt comes to mind as well. It's actually quite difficult to say. Garet is certainly here as well, but he, you know, latter half of the season kind of fell off somewhat. I think as my 5th player, I'm probably going to go with Celium and choose 2 from the Atlanta FaZe team. I just think Celium can do it all with any weapon once again. He's going to be my 2nd AR on this team behind Octane. I just think this is a deadly squad overall. You've got Pharaoh on the team as like that flex role, can do what he wants. Super player as well in his own right, of course. And then you've got Celium who comes in with that game 5 ice, right? Like Octane maybe isn't so good in Search and Destroy, but pairing Celium up with Simp and with Shotzi on the team and Celium consistently dropping like 16 bombs in the game 5 when it matters. That's going to be my team, I think. So I'm going to go with Simp and Shotzi as my main SMG duo. Celium as my, like, you know, 2nd AR. Octane as my main AR. And then Pharaoh is kind of the flex 3rd SMG. Do it all type of player. So that's going to be my 5. But yeah, you guys can, of course, feel free to make your choices in the comment section below. What happens if I hit vote here? To just kind of do it? I'm not a robot. You know, almost can guarantee that one. And I think I've submitted it. Okay, cool. So, yeah, here's my squad. Pharaoh, Octane, Celium, Shotzi, and Simp. But yeah, I'm sure you guys are going to disagree with this one. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. To finish out the video, wanted to go through this pretty interesting topic as well. Activision Blizzard has hired MLB, so Major League Baseball's Deputy Commissioner and COO Tony Petitti as its President of Sports and Entertainment. Petitti was mainly hired to help take CDL and Overwatch League's television product and live event business to the next level. So this is kind of an interesting move coming over from baseball. You know, maybe this will have a good impact on how the broadcast segment works. It's always interesting moves though when you see things like this, because this is not a guy who has much experience of esports and how the industry is run and how the industry is organized and what it needs and what the fans care about. And as Slasher says right here, MLB's Deputy Commissioner Tony Petitti has left baseball to join Activision Blizzard and oversee all esports of the company. Another guy who doesn't know gaming, coming from the least popular sports in America with young people, standard Activision Blizzard. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is going to have a good impact. Maybe it's not. But yeah, you can definitely say that some of the management over at Activision Blizzard right now is kind of questionable from the Call of Duty perspective. People are talking about Joanna Fairies and all that, and you know, what she actually does for the league. And, you know, this is another questionable decision, I suppose. We'll have to see if this has any good impact going forwards on, you know, TV rights deals and this kind of stuff. But maybe that's a few years away. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.
Side door's in, 1 shot.
I held that.
In the back,
I can pick up something.
I got you.
One's in construction.
I killed the Legion, but
No,
playing for
Yo,
construction.
you don't need back up.
I got you. I don't see him.
How many draws?
Back in the back flat.
Flat,
Back plat dead.
She told me.
I have a trophy, I have a trophy.
Watch out behind the barrels. Spawn right there.
Dead. White truck dead. I got 3.
Nice, let's go.
Go.
Gotta hit it, bros. Gotta hit it.
Behind the desk,
Back door.
Wait.
Back door. Back door.
Nice.
No more front. No more front.
I want shot.
One.
Quick side hop.
One shot front, one shot front.
Every front.
Team shot front, team shot front.
Sandbags, one shot.
Yeah.
Nice.
Side hop weak.
Right there.
No, Ab dead.
Front, weak.
Dead.
The sandbags in.
Nice
Look
try,
at him.
brother.
Look at him.
Oh, what was that mantle?
Coming,
Your front.